Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to August planning. It is moved by Councillor Karen, second by Councillor Hunter. Be it resolved that the council agenda as presented on August 26, 2025 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Please vote. And that carries. Thank you. Councillor, are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest today? Okay, seeing none. We did not have a closed session. I will go to Councillor Varney to please deliver the land acknowledgement statement.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We would like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the First Peoples who for thousands of years before us were and are still the keepers and caretakers of this land, where we now live and work, and in particular the Chippewas of Rama, Wata, Mohawk First Nations, and the Moon River Métis. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. We recognize all the generations of Indigenous people and their historic connection to this place, and we are grateful for the opportunity to gather here at this time.
Thank you. Just before we get started, I just want to say that we have a couple new faces around the table today. So helping me out is our Deputy Clerk, Jonathan Gilson. So thank you very much. I rely on you heavily, so look forward to your calm, steady hand. I would like to welcome Senior Planner Angela Giacattis, who is going to be in the role today. And we've got Haley Lehman over in taking over Deputy Clerk's regular position. So thank you for joining us today. We appreciate everyone. So with that, good afternoon and welcome to today's planning meeting. This afternoon, there are 4 public meetings scheduled for 1 concurrent official plan and zoning bylaw amendment and 3 standalone zoning bylaw amendments. Application number ZA 16-2025 for Homewood and Foyce. ZA 19-2025 for North South Holdings 2024 Inc., Highway 11 North, report number DV 2025-58. Application number ZA 21-2025 for Ferguson. Application number OPA 01-2025 and ZA 23-2025 for Pausland. The Planning Act requires that a public meeting be held before council decides to adopt an official plan amendment or pass a zoning bylaw amendment. This public meeting serves 2 purposes. First, to present to council and the public the details and background to the proposal, and second, to receive comments from the public and agencies before a council decision is made. I will briefly summarize the procedure to be utilized for the public meeting. The Senior Planner, Angela Giacattis, will advise council as to when, how, and to whom notice of public meeting was circulated. Staff will then advise of the purpose and effect of the proposed zoning amendment and provide any additional information that is relevant to the application. Staff will further summarize any correspondence on file. From there, the applicant will be requested to make presentation, followed by questions or presentations from the public, either in favor or against the proposal. Council will then have the opportunity to question the applicant, staff, or anyone giving presentations. The proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendments will then be considered by council later this afternoon. If anyone from the public in the council chambers would like to request notification of the decision of any application, please complete the form provided on the back table. I will now ask the Senior Planner to advise how, when, and to whom notice of the public meetings were circulated.
Thank you. Notice of the public meetings concerning the proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendments were sent by first-class mail to the respective owners and assessed persons within 120 meters, 400 feet of the properties subject to the proposed bylaws and official plan amendment, and emailed to the applicable agencies. Included with the notices was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the proposal, a site plan, and a key map showing the location of the property in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act.
It is important to note that should council pass any bylaws this afternoon, there is a 20-day appeal period, during which time the applicant, the municipality, and certain public bodies as defined by the Planning Act may appeal the decision of council. During this appeal period, no building permit may be issued or other work commenced. Also, in the event there is Also, in the event there is an appeal, and in order to be kept advised of the possible Ontario Land Tribunal hearing, members of the public must request and be sent a copy of council's decision on the application. Public meeting number 1. I now declare this portion of the meeting to be a public meeting to deal with application number ZA16-2025 for Homeward and Foisey. I will now ask the senior planner to please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed bylaw and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to the application.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This property is located close to the western boundary of the municipality on Miller Island on Lake Muskoka. The property is, of course, water access only, with mainland access being from Villas Marina. The channel in front of the property between Miller Island and Taylor Island measures approximately 125 to 135 meters across and is therefore classified as a narrow waterway, being less than 150 meters. The property is located in a residential waterfront area with similar sized lots and similar development characteristics. The property is zoned residential waterfront RW6A and designated waterfront area in the official plan. The proposal is to construct a new single-story boathouse within a narrow waterway, and the boathouse is proposed to extend 10 meters into the water, whereas the zoning bylaw prohibits new boathouses on a narrow waterway. Comments of no objection have been received from the chief building official, the manager of revenue, the infrastructure technologist, the deputy fire chief, and the District of Muskoka. And I'll just go through photos to provide some additional context. This first photo shows the dwelling and existing access stairs, which will be reconfigured so that shoreline development is complied with. You can see that the property slopes up steeply from the water to the dwelling. This is looking north towards the location of the proposed boathouse from the water. The boathouse will be well separated and buffered from neighboring properties, as it is to be located in the central area of the property between these two docks, which will both be removed. No sensitive environmental features have been identified, and as you can see, the shoreline is well vegetated. So this photo is taken from the existing dock, looking south across the channel. The proposed boathouse will not extend beyond the projection of this existing dock. Looking southeast, there are a variety of structures in the channel, including docks, single-story boathouses, and two-story boathouses. There is unimpeded space here for boat traffic that is separated from existing shoreline structures. The proposed boathouse will also remain consistent with the projection of immediately surrounding shoreline structures. Boat traffic is anticipated to be somewhat directed away by the small island to the southeast, and then moving towards the west, the shoreline moving outwards. One of the concerns on narrow waterways is navigation, and staff are satisfied that the proposal is not anticipated to negatively impact navigation in this case. So in conclusion, staff are satisfied that the zoning amendment application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, in conformity with the Town of Gravenhurst official plan, is appropriate and represents good planning, and would recommend that council approve the application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I will now ask for the comments by the agent, Michael Barton, who has pre-registered to participate electronically. Mr. Barton, please ensure your camera and microphone are turned on and press the speaker icon and follow with your comments.
Thank you very much. Yes, my name is Michael Barton. I am the owner's representative. I appreciate the presentation from staff. So I think it's been captured very effectively. The proposed built house or boathouse was designed with consideration for the narrow waterway characteristics, taking into consideration the projection of the existing docks and the characteristics of the existing boathouses and docks in the area. Staff did visit the site and walked around. So there were changes that were made through those discussions to help reduce the shoreline development intensity and to help make this proposed boathouse work within the context of the property and surrounding area. So my opinion is that it does do that, and appreciate staff's position and welcome any comments or questions that you have of me.
Okay, thank you. So if you just stick around if council has any questions, we'll get to that in just a few minutes. Is the owner here at all that wanted to comment? Okay. Are there any members of the public who'd like to comment? No, seeing none. Council, are there any questions or comments for the senior planner or for the applicant's agent? Councillor Hunter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Mr. Caddis, I think. I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. Both docks will be removed, so there will be no dock at all, just the boathouse structure. Is that correct?
Through you, Madam Mayor, that is correct. Both of those existing docks will be removed, and the new boathouse with supporting docks will be the only structure that will be there.
Councillor Morphy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I'm just trying to find out the frontage of the property. There is a comment on lots that are 30 meters, but it doesn't really let me know what the actual frontage is. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, the straight line frontage of the property is 68.8 meters.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay. Seeing none. Mr. Caddis, are there any recommendations or comments you'd like to bring to the attention of council as a result of these proceedings?
Planning staff would recommend council approve the application.
The bylaw will be considered by council later this afternoon if there are no further questions, and I declare this public meeting to be concluded. Public meeting number 2. I now declare this portion of the meeting to be a public meeting to deal with application number ZA 19-2025 North Shore South Holdings, Inc. I will now ask the senior planner to please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed bylaw and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to the application.
Thank you. This property is located just south of the urban center on Highway 11 North. The property is the site of Discovery Dream Homes. There is frontage on and access from both Highway 11 North and Beaver Ridge Road. The property is designated Highway 11 Special Character Area and is zoned Commercial Highway, C3. The property is located in an area of highway commercial businesses, which similarly have frontage and access from both Highway 11 and Beaver Ridge Road. On the other side of Beaver Ridge Road is residential uses, including the Beaver Ridge Estates Mobile Home Park. The purpose of the application request is to legalize an existing shipping container and to permit a business display sign to be located on the shipping container. Comments of no objection have been received from the chief building official, the manager of revenue, deputy fire chief, and the District of Muskoka. The chief building official did note that a building permit is required for the shipping container. So this first photo is taken near the front of the property and looking north along Highway 11. The entrance to the property is visible just in front of the business sign that's in the center of the photo. And then turning in the same spot and looking to the east across a display area, the shipping container is not visible from Highway 11 due to the dense vegetation. And you can also see that the property is flat. Then moving north on the property towards the entrance, but then looking back south across the front of the property towards the Muskoka store property, you can see the platform, which was visible in the last photo, just in the center of this picture. And it's just included here to provide a reference and reiterate that the shipping container is not visible from the front of the property or from Highway 11. And turning and looking at the existing office building used for model home display and sales, which is a permitted use in this zone. And then moving in from the entrance and looking east to the parking area, at the right of the photo, you can see the driveway which leads back to Beaver Ridge Road. And at the left, the curb stops which are delineating the parking spaces, and they also provide a reference for the next photo. So it's a little bit difficult to see, but this photo is standing on that driveway that now looking back towards the parking lot, and just barely can see those curb stops from the last photo. And you can also see a fenced storage area, which is not visible due to the thick tree cover on the property. So this photo is taken from Beaver Ridge Road, showing the entrance to the property and showing the shipping container with the display sign on it. The shipping container, I would suggest, is not visible even when looking directly at it. The proposed site-specific bylaw amendment will limit the number of shipping containers to 1 and will limit it to this specific location on the property. So then just close up, looking at the display sign, which covers the entrance door to the shipping container and which is visible when entering the property from Beaver Ridge Road. Again, just pointing out the thick vegetation surrounding the shipping container. And I would also note that an exemption from the sign bylaw will still also be required. But since the zoning bylaw prevents a shipping container from being placed for the purpose of display or advertising, this zoning amendment application includes an exemption for the sign in this location as well. And then this photo is taken while standing between the shipping container and Beaver Ridge Road. And I would just reiterate again that this shipping container is not visible from Highway 11, from passing traffic, or from Beaver Ridge Road or abutting properties due to the dense vegetation, and would note that, as noted in the staff report, the shipping container is compatible with the surrounding area. In conclusion, staff are satisfied that the zoning amendment application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, in conformity with the Town of Gravenhurst official plan, is appropriate and represents good planning, and would recommend that council approve the application. Thank you.
Is the applicant or agent here? Great, come on up.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Christine Lawrence, and I'm the applicant for the zoning bylaw amendment. And I just think Angela did a good job covering everything, but it is a bit of a confusing property. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Great. Now, I think that's it for members of the public that aren't here for their own purpose, so we'll go straight to council. Are there any questions? Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I just want to be clear on the sign part of this. So the zoning amendment includes a provision for allowing a sign on the shipping container, I believe, but there's still the exemption required from the sign bylaw. And if that is the case, if I'm correct there, are we going to be, like, when we look at the sign bylaw application, do we look at other signs? I guess that's really a bylaw question, but, or are we, like, at what stage is it permitted, I guess, after the bylaw exemption, I guess, is the.
Mr. Caddis, did you just say that that's included in the zoning bylaws, the bylaw amendment for the sign? I think that's,
Yes, thank you, through you. The exemption, so the zoning bylaw does not permit a shipping container to include advertising, so therefore, an exemption is included in this site-specific bylaw, which would allow the sign to remain if approved, but it's my understanding that Mr. Clark had discussions and an exemption from the sign bylaw would also still be required.
but is it? Okay, so we just happen to have manager of bylaw services with us here. So did you want to chime in? I thought that maybe this was another application for a different sign, but the one on the actual container is included. That's my understanding. Ms. Ford? There you go.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. To speak to that, to this sign specifically, I believe that Mr. Clark and I did have a conversation about it. My understanding was that the exemption was not actually going to be within the zoning bylaw, so then they would have required the exemption for the sign through this, the sign exemption process. However, if it's going to be approved by council today in the zoning bylaw, then that would supersede the sign bylaw exemption.
Long story short, it's included for the purpose of today. Is that okay? Councillor Jorgensen, does that satisfy your question?
Okay, so what we're saying is we don't need another exemption under the sign bylaw, but I was just curious because the pictures showed these other signs in front there, and I wonder whether they were in compliance with the sign bylaw, but that's not really a planning issue at this point. It would be a sign bylaw issue.
I believe, yes, I think that's, yeah, I think what you're talking about, what we're talking about today is that sign on the container. Okay, great. Councillor Morphy?
Thank you. To you. My question was about the district comment to get comments from the MTO. They're a pretty important player. Are we making that conditional on this, or are we looking at deferral, or how is that being managed?
Through you, Madam Mayor. The MTO is automatically circulated on any zoning amendment application within their permit control area, including this property. And the MTO was circulated. We received confirmation that it was in their system and didn't receive any further comments. So the planning staff recommendation is to proceed.
So again, no news from the MTO is good news. Okay, so we'll keep it. All right, is there anybody else who has any questions on this? Mr. Caddis, are there any recommendations or comments to bring to the attention of council as a result of these proceedings?
Staff would recommend that council approve the application.
The bylaw will be considered by council later this afternoon. If there are no further questions, then I declare this public meeting to be concluded. Public meeting number 3. I now declare this portion of the meeting to be a public meeting to deal with application number ZA 21-2025, Ferguson. I will now ask the senior planner to please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed bylaw and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to the application.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This property is located in the southwest area of the municipality at the intersection of Kilworthy Road and Southwood Road. Severance approval has been granted by the Committee of Adjustment to result in the 3 new lots outlined in red in the center of the sketch. The easternmost lot has already been finalized and is currently being built on, so it's removed from the area shown in red, which is the remainder of the property in its current configuration. This property is designated rural area in the official plan. The area of the property that is subject to the zoning amendment is outlined in red on this slide. You can see for context that the property is located in an area of open farm fields and heavily forested areas, as well as some wetlands and smaller residential rural lots. One thing of importance to note is the watercourse that runs through the property on an angle, starting in the middle of the severed lot outlined in red. That watercourse is shown here again as a dashed line. So as a condition of severance approval, there is a requirement for any driveway and related site alteration to be set back a minimum of 15 meters from the culvert and watercourse on the severed lot outlined in black. That 15-meter setback is captured in the zoning amendment application, and the severed lot, again, as outlined in black, is proposed to be rezoned to residential rural, RR5, to reflect the smaller lot size and the proposed residential use. In addition, the dashed gray area to the left, it will remain as part of the larger retained lot, so it's to be rezoned back to rural to have consistent zoning with the remainder of the retained lot and the use of that lot. Comments of no objection were received from the town's chief building official, infrastructure technologist, fire and emergency services department, and manager of revenue, as well as from the District of Muskoka. So there's just a few photos to provide some additional context. This is the culvert in question, draining from Kilworthy Road, southwest across the property to Southwood Road. And you can see in this photo the location of the water course through the field. The town's infrastructure department has requested a drainage easement across that, and a related condition was included in the approval that was granted by the Committee of Adjustment. Then this photo just takes a broader perspective, showing more of the retained and severed lots. I would note that Schedule B of the town's official plan indicates this is not a cold water stream, so the official plan requires a 15-meter setback for site alteration, and planning and infrastructure staff and Committee of Adjustment are satisfied that's appropriate. And I would just note that a 30-meter setback is still required for any structures. So just a couple more photos for context. This is turning in looking east along Kilworthy Road across the frontage of the property. The culvert in question is approximately in the center of the photo. Then turning and looking west along Kilworthy Road, you can see that there are no constraints to development, no other constraints. It's a level lot. And finally, just reiterating that this zoning amendment application is a required condition of consent approval granted by the Committee of Adjustment. The zoning amendment has the effect of appropriately rezoning the westernmost severed lot and a portion of the retained lot, as well as requiring driveways to be set back 15 meters from the existing culvert and watercourse. In conclusion, staff are satisfied that the zoning amendment application is consistent with the provincial planning statement, in conformity with the Town of Gravenhurst official plan. It's appropriate and represents good planning, and would therefore recommend that council approve the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the, I guess the owner is not, are they attending? Pardon? The agent. Okay, so, is the agent or applicant here? No, okay, perfect. Members of the public? Nope. Council, are there any questions? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Caddis, are there any recommendations or comments to bring to the attention of council as a result of these proceedings?
Staff would recommend that council approve the application.
The bylaw will be considered by council later this afternoon. If there are no further questions, then I declare this public meeting to be concluded. Public meeting number 4. I now declare this portion of the meeting to be a public meeting to deal with application number OPA 01-2025 and ZA 23-2025 for Pausland. I will now ask Senior Planner to please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to the application.
Thank you. This property is located close to the western boundary of the municipality as well, on Taylor Island on Lake Muskoka. The property is a through lot with 2 frontages on Lake Muskoka, both of which are considered narrow waterways due to being less than 150 meters across the channels. The property is zoned residential waterfront, RW6B, with a special provision that stipulates the southern lot line is the front lot line. The property is designated waterfront area in the official plan, and that will not change through the proposed official plan amendment. The property is located in a residential waterfront area that is water access only. The bay where the new boathouse is proposed contains similar size lots. Comments of support were received from the 4 adjacent property owners in this bay. In addition, comments of no objection were received from the town's chief building official, fire and emergency services, and the manager of revenue. The District of Muskoka also provided comments of no objection. This sketch shows, but I know it's difficult to see, the distances across the 2 channels, the north channel and the south channel. At the south, the distance between the 2 islands varies from 34 to 40 meters across. And at the north, where the new boathouse is proposed, the distance across is over 96 meters. This enlargement of the sketch for the proposed new 2-story boathouse within a narrow waterway on a frontage of less than 90 meters does require an official plan amendment, as well as a zoning amendment with further relief being required for the boathouse to extend a maximum of 10 meters into the water. This sketch illustrates that the frontage where the new boathouse is proposed is 86.2 meters of straight line frontage from point to point versus the required 90 meters. So just going through the pictures, starting at the open part of the bay and looking east to the end of the bay, with the subject property being on the right at the mid-center of the slide. And then moving closer to the end of the bay, the subject property is on the far right. You can just see the docks at the edge of the slide. There's also, it's difficult to see, but there is aquatic vegetation at the end of the bay, which the end of the bay is identified as significant fish habitat, and the vegetation would also limit boat traffic in this area. And just keep the water slide in as a marker for the next photo. This is standing on the existing docks of the subject property, looking across the bay at the neighbor's property. There is, staff's opinion, there's sufficient room for boat traffic and safe navigation. And in addition to the site evaluation report that was, in addition, there is a site evaluation report that was submitted concluding that a 2-story boathouse would have minimal impacts on boat traffic in this location. So then looking at the subject property from the water, there are existing docks that will be removed. This is the location of the proposed 2-story boathouse. You can see that the property slopes up steeply from the shoreline, and the property is heavily treed except for this access area and a small plateau up top, where the other structures on the property are located, including a modest dwelling in the center of the photo, and then to the left, an outhouse and shed, all of which are oriented towards the southern frontage. And that is here, standing at the southern frontage, looking across the southern channel. And although this southern lot line exceeds 90 meters of frontage, planning staff would suggest, it's our opinion, it would not be appropriate for a 2-story boathouse to be located on this frontage. Then looking east from the same location, again, the property being on the left, it's heavily treed on this southern frontage as well. And again, from the same spot, just looking up at the cottage, again, the tree cover, and just would note that the official plan waterfront area designation is not changing, just policies related to 2-story boathouses for this property only. As noted in the staff report, there are criteria which should be used to evaluate an official plan amendment, and staff are satisfied this criteria has been met. And the last photo, again, back to the northern frontage where the boathouse is proposed, standing on the dock and looking out towards the open part of the lake. You can see that this bay has a variety of shoreline structures, including docks, boathouses, boat ports, and one 2-story boathouse. In conclusion, staff are satisfied that the official plan amendment application and zoning amendment application are consistent with the provincial planning statement, maintain the intent of the Town of Gravenhurst official plan, are appropriate and represent good planning, and would therefore recommend council adopt the official plan amendment and approve the zoning amendment application.
Okay, thank you. I will now ask for any comments by the agent Ryan Lloyd, who has pre-registered to participate electronically. Okay, welcome.
Good afternoon, council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, thank you. Good afternoon, council, and through you, Madam Mayor. My name is Ryan Lloyd, planner with Planscape. I'm here representing the applicants of 95 Island 26 on Lake Muskoka to permit the 2-story boathouse on Taylor Island. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks to planning staff for their support throughout this process and for their supportive recommendation today. Today's applications are very site-specific amendments that will allow a 2-story boathouse in a narrow waterway and recognize the location of the boathouse on the northern waterfront, having approximately 86 meters of frontage, where, as pointed out, 90 meters is a requirement in both the official plan and the provisions of the zoning bylaw. The subject property is a through lot with approximately 193 meters of total frontage, but the zoning exception S173 defines the south shore as the actual frontage of 97 meters. And as pointed out previous, this is not an ideal location as the distance is about 35 meters across to Diamond Island. I agree with staff that the purpose of the official plan policies and zoning provisions that limit shoreline structures on narrow waterways are primarily intended to mitigate potential safety concerns surrounding boat traffic. The site evaluation report submitted with the application concludes that the two-story boathouse would have very minimal impacts on the shoreline property and would not create any increased boat traffic to the narrow waterway. There is an existing dock that is used as the applicant's primary access to the island, and this use would continue. The proposed development is in keeping with the surrounding Taylor Island character. As noted and shown in the pictures, there are several existing two-story and single-story boathouses on both sides of the island. The proposed location is also set back somewhat into the property, which further reduces the water projection of the proposed boathouse and dock. And then just lastly, it is my understanding that the applicants did their best to communicate their boathouse project to their neighbors to address any concerns prior to submission today, and that's why they had several supporting comments in favor of the project. I agree with the recommendations of planning staff and happy to address any questions.
Okay, thank you. There's no one from the public here, so we will go straight to council. Council, any questions? Councillor Morphy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you. Yeah, question to the agent, I guess. Because it's a boathouse with living quarters, the septic and water, and how's that being managed? And do the other boathouses, they're also living quarters, or are they just boathouses without in the surrounding?
Mr. Lloyd?
Sorry, I'm breaking up a little bit, so hopefully you guys can still hear me.
Yep, we can.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit there, so
okay,
hopefully
so
I
I'll
got your
just
question.
did
So
you-
the living quarters above, it is, sorry,
I'm sorry, so you did hear the question?
you can't hear me? Sorry.
I can hear
I think
you,
we're
yes.
having connection issues here.
Okay, so I can hear you, but you did hear the question? I was just checking in that you'd heard the question from Councillor Morphy about the living quarters?
Okay, so I'll try this again. Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Yes.
We seem to be losing connection here. Regarding living quarters, yes. 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 So it would be considered a sleeping cabin. There is no plan to actually have anything other than rooms for sleeping or for lounging. The property only has a outhouse, so there is no plans for a septic at this time.
Okay. Councillor Morphy, subsequent?
Yes, I would just like a little bit more of an explanation then about sleeping cabins on waters without washrooms, and I thought that was kind of part of the objective, is to have that sort of thing incorporated.
Mr.
Through you,
Caddis?
Madam Mayor. There's no requirement for a sleeping cabin to have a washroom. With that said, ultimately, at the time of the issuance of the building permit, it will be up to the building department as to whether a septic is required or not, based on what is proposed at the time of the building permit submission. So there could be a requirement for a septic system.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions? Okay. Great. Mr. Caddis, as a result of these proceedings, are there any recommendations you'd like to bring to the attention of council?
Staff would recommend that council adopt the official plan amendment and approve the zoning bylaw amendment. Thank you.
Okay. The official plan amendment and zoning bylaw will be considered by council later this afternoon. If there are no further questions, then I declare this public meeting to be completed. So that concludes our public meetings for today. I'm going to roll right into deputations. And we have just one. Eric from Hale Muskoka.
to see you.
I'll
Good
remind you,
afternoon.
you have 10 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you. It should only take a few. Good afternoon, Your Worship, and members of the Planning Council. I'm here on behalf of Hale Muskoka regarding our 2025 market series. Today, I'm requesting approval for signage permits to support safe, organized traffic, parking, and wayfinding for these events. The purpose of the signage is essential to direct vehicles to designated overflow parking at the Gravenhurst Drive-In, guide attendees to shuttle service transporting them from the drive-in to Hale Muskoka, attempt to prevent attendees from parking along Bethune Drive, keeping the roadway safe and clear, provide clear direction to events themselves, ensuring all visitors can easily find Hale Muskoka. The use of the digital signage, digital sign will guide visitors directly to the drive-in parking lot. This ensures visitors bypass Bethune, reduces congestion, and provides clear direction to the event in real time. Community considerations. Proper signage and shuttle service will reduce congestion on local streets, minimize disruption to surrounding neighborhoods, improve pedestrian safety and accessibility for all visitors. Event context. Hale Muskoka will host 3 themed markets in 2025. Board and Barrel this August 28th, this Thursday. It'll be the first event running from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. The next event is in Inhale Exhale Wellness Market, September 11th, a Fall Harvest Market on October 9th. All events will take place in the afternoon and early evening, and with expected attendance of 200 to 400 people per event. Admission is free to the public. Commitment to compliance, all signage will comply with municipal bylaws for size, placement, and duration. Signs will be promptly removed following each event. Hale Muskoka is committed to working with town staff to ensure signage is effective, respectful, and beneficial to the community. And excuse me, in closing, we respectfully ask council to approve our signage permits. This will allow us to direct traffic to the drive-in lot, manage shuttle service, guide attendees to the events, prevent overflow parking on Bethune Drive. And with that, I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, thank you. Yes, you had lots of time left, so thanks for being succinct. Council, are there any questions for the deputation? We do have something on new business, which would, I think, be the appropriate time to ask staff questions, but this is the time to ask the deputant any questions about his ask. Okay. Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to the deputant. Are you planning, I thought I had read that you're planning to have on-site parking at some point?
We do. We have
Your-
on-site parking.
Your goal?
We do.
Additional on-site parking? Is
Well, we have an application that's coming forward for an event center, and that has additional parking as well.
Yeah, so in the future, that's really what I'm wondering about at this point.
Yeah.
In the future, you expect to have some additional on-site parking when your event center
Correct.
comes forward? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? All right. So we'll be discussing this in a few minutes, so thank you. Thanks for your presentation. Okay, great. So this brings us to new business, and we'll just put up the application, the motion on the screen. Be resolved that report number DV 2025-61 RE Hale Muskoka sign exemption be received for information, that an electronic mobile sign be permitted subject to the approval of the District of Muskoka and the restrictions outlined in this staff report, and that should council approve the request for an amendment to section 6.8 8 sandwich boards, it be subject to the restrictions as outlined in the staff report. So, Manager Ford, you're going to speak to this? Great, thank you, welcome.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Hale has made a request for an exemption to the town sign bylaw 2023-31, specifically section 6.7 bracket L, which is with regards to illuminated digital mobile signs, and section 6.10, which is about the number of sandwich board signs and the locations. The use of the illuminated digital mobile signs would be for providing information to patrons, including on-site parking and shuttle service information. I would note that the location of the illuminated mobile sign will require MTO approval, as well as it's located outside of the residential area and outside of the BIA area where illuminated signs are restricted. The use of the sandwich board signs would again be for information purposes. However, 15 signs have been applied for and would not be permitted as per section 610.2. One sign is permitted per storefront. Staff recommends that should council approve the request for the sign exemptions, that this is done based on the recommendations found within the report.
Okay. Counselor, are there any questions? Okay, Counselor Morphy?
Thank you. Through you, I had one question about the 48 hours. We, just in keeping consistency, we recently approved the drive-in market, which was, they're allowed to go up Thursday till Sunday, giving them a little bit more leeway. How did the 48 hours come to be?
Thank you, Councillor Murphy, and through you, Madam Mayor. The 48 hours is a suggestion based on conversation with the owner of Hale.
Okay, Counselor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just for clarification, I think we put in place a process where they pay a fee to consider a sign bylaw exemption, and that has happened, right? This is the formal process? Is that, okay, just to be clear on that. With respect to the mobile sign, I guess is on site, you had mentioned that we need a ministry approval, I believe, but what about the district as well? District of Muskoka? Yeah.
Sorry, just to clarify, yes, it would be the District of Muskoka. And I should also clarify that the district has provided the authority to pass these types of requests by the municipality as it's minor in nature. But in addition to that, they would also require a building permit for the mobile sign.
Subsequent?
Yes, a subsequent, thank you. Are we aware, does this, I mean, because the district has a sign bylaw as well, and does this, is it permitted under the district sign bylaw, or do they have a similar process where it has to be approved by the district as well?
Manager Ford?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. The district does have their own sign bylaw. However, the majority of their signs are approved based on location. So it's a location bylaw that allows for an applicant to place a sign on their property. So again, district has downloaded the minor signs to the town of Gravenhurst to approve.
Yeah, the director wanted just to make a clarification comment.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. So I just wanted to reiterate that, as Manager Ford mentioned, staff are recommending approval of the illuminated mobile sign. However, we've not recommended approval of the 15 sandwich board signs. Should council wish to give consideration to those signs, you'd need to be specific, and we would recommend that you be specific about how many you approve. They've proposed 15. In the staff report, you'll see that we felt that may be a bit too many, but that's for your call. We don't have any parameters to review this based on, so it's up to council to make that decision. However, we have provided some recommended guidelines should you wish to consider that in the staff report. So I just wanted to reiterate that the motion that was presented to you said should you wish to give consideration, so you'll need to have that discussion.
Okay, Councillor Hunter?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, thank you for that, because that was going to be my question. I was hoping to split them up. Because as you'll recall at the last meeting, like Councillor Morphy had mentioned, we did discuss the drive-in signs. And at that time, I mentioned that there are other businesses that would be coming forward. And I wanted to be consistent with my answer for that. So I wondered, though, is there an image of, I'm trying to picture what this electronic mobile sign looks like. Is it one of those just black and orange, tells you the info, or is it flashier? I just trying to get an image in my mind of what it will look like.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, it is exactly what you have suggested there. Based on the information that we've been provided, it stands on two wheels, is anchored to the ground, and flashes with the information.
Okay, Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Just I have a couple of comments and then questions. Being a brand-new business in town, it's very important for the community to know, in my opinion, to know what's going on in our town. And I don't think that, 15 sandwich signs would be a problem initially. I think it's really important to let people know that we have, new things happening in our community. This is going to be a huge venue from what I can see. The events sound extremely exciting. But I think also with the signage for the illuminated sign, I think it's really important. I was concerned to see that, we want to shut it off at certain times, but it's every weekend in the summer that we're in, well, all summer long, we have lots of tourists in town, but it's on the weekends, like the weekend prior to this event, it would be nice to have the signs out there to let people know that there's, a number of things going on, not only with these signs, but with other signs around town. So I think it's really important that we, approve this. And because the 15 sandwich board signs located throughout the community aren't in here, how can I go ahead and ask for those to be approved or included into this? Even if it's for the first year and into the second year, so that we can, encourage the business. They've invested quite a bit of money into our community, and that's amazing, and we appreciate it. But I think in order to make sure that they're seen and we know that there's something going on, we need the signage around town, not just on Bethune Drive. So I'm wondering, how do I go about including the additional signage? And also, I'd like to see that the digital signs stay on a little bit longer than, I think it was 48 hours prior to the opening of the market. So the next market, I think I heard him say, was on Thursday. So that only gives a couple days' notice prior to, which is not the weekend prior to the event. So to me, the time to advertise events is on the weekends when we do get the most people, and we want to encourage those people to come back. And knowing that there's something happening in the town, I think it's really important. So a couple of questions there. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to start with, I'm going to let the conversation unfold, and we'll get an idea if there's an appetite, and I'll come back around to you to see if you want to move after we have a fulsome conversation, I think is a good idea. Secondly, I think, I'm just going to say to your ask that they have the sign prior, I think they're probably renting this sign, and the 48 hours is something that they've agreed to. That's what they want to do. So I'm not sure that it's our role to say, hey, get your sign out a week early. I'll leave that to the applicant to address, but I don't, oh, he's left. Okay. But I would suggest that the applicant has come forward with an ask, and the 48 hours is what he's asked for. And as far as extending it for a year, he's only asking for these 3 events. So I'm not comfortable making, they may come up with a full-time solution, and we're telling him what we want him to see him do. He came with an ask of a specific for 3 events. So I think it's pretty important to, answer the ask that was put before us and not dictate to him or them how they do their business. But Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Worship. I think you touched on some of my concerns, and Councillor Hunter as well. Like, we're not clear what's on these signs. Like, I think the ask is for some, I understand, for example, some directional signs. I'm thinking as you cross over the highway and an arrow pointing left to show, direct people to where the drive-in is. That's a lot different from, an event sign that's throughout town, because you're not going to use the sign for the same purpose. And I mean, I have a problem. I mean, they're asking for sandwich board signs, I think, which is problematic. Sandwich board signs are a lot different from what, just a small stake sign. But I also don't know how much stuff you can put on a sign that'll be effective for people to see it and direct them to the venue and direct them to the parking. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think there's a problem. I can understand having a, turn left here for parking kind of thing over the highway, but that's not going to help you, in town somewhere. So it's a little confusing what the ask really is to me. And it is unfortunate Mr. Abukov left, so we can't ask him.
Okay, so I'm going to go over to Director of Development Services, Ms. Salford.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. So based on the application that was submitted to us, the illuminated sign will be regarding parking status, like whether the parking lot's full, where the shuttle is, that type of stuff. So it's not event advertising. It's what you would, like a typical traffic sign, say, parking up ahead, shuttle service available, that kind of messaging. The branded, event-specific, detail-specific information regarding the event is the sandwich board signs. So 2 different messages, and also with directional signage saying where Hale is located, like turn here, that kind of stuff. As you notice in the maps that were attached to the staff report, it said whether it would have a directional signage and that kind of thing. So there will be arrows on it to the event, but the highway sign is more about parking status, like where to go parking, if this is full, where else to park, that kind of thing. So I hope that helps clarify.
Councillor Varney?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. That number of signs to me seems like overkill for some reason. I think like we have a sign bylaw in place, and it just sounds like an awful lot of signs. I can see, the Hale property is at an entranceway to the town, so I can see a sign being at the other entranceway to town, and maybe coming up on Bethune Drive from the bay, and maybe somewhere, but 15 signs. And I'm just asking, we were discussing how many signs did we allow the Sunday Farmers Market? Was there a quota on the number of signs that we allowed them? I'm not sure if bylaw has the answer to that or not, but I mean, that's just my feeling is, I just feel like, I mean, I think they should have some signage, but I just feel that that's a huge number of signs myself. Thank you.
Councillor Murphy?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. Okay, thank you for the explanation about the 48 hours. If they asked for it, I'm fine with it. I didn't receive it that way. And the 15 signs, as someone who has run an election, you know how many signs. And without a newspaper to get the word around town, to have these spread out, I have no problem with also supporting the 15 signs.
I'm going to go over to Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's my understanding that they're allowed to have one sandwich board sign on their property. That's correct? Okay. And then I also just wanted to call attention to sandwich board signs are different. They do blow over in the wind. What happens if they blow onto the road versus like they're a little bit, chunkier, that kind of thing. So I would be happy with the one that they have on their property plus the, the electronic sign that's directing people for traffic. That would be my recommendation for them.
Okay. Councillor Johnston?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just thought maybe I better say something so people know I'm actually here in the room. No, I don't have a problem with the with the signs. Councillor Karen's comment about we want to encourage business, and I made this remark, so I'm not picking on my colleagues here. I've made this remark often at district. We get into issues that I think are beyond a council's purview about what you should do with your business and so on. These are temporary signs, and we want to encourage it. And staff have said they're satisfied with that. So anyway, long story short, just that I'm okay with the number of signs and as recommended by the staff. Thank you.
Okay, so I think one thing that I think needs to be clarified, we're not talking about like incidental signs that we see that goes up for tall pines and stuff. We're talking about sandwich board signs. So, I mean, I'm not comfortable with 15 of them going around. We have an accessibility committee. Where are these going? Where, to me, 15 sandwich board signs, first of all, they're two-sided. They're not the quick ones that you can put in and out into the ground on a stake like an election sign. Those are called incidental signs. Very different. My one question to Manager Ford is when we have events in the town, they're permitted incidental signs for X amount of time. Could you just outline that rule for me? And just so I have an understanding of the difference between a sandwich board and what somebody is permitted for those incidental signs surrounding an event, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. The event signs that are posted through either incidental signs, sometimes ground signs, or banner signs, those are all signs that go through the event request process through our events committee and is brought forward to council for review and approval that way. These signs and their town events or third-party events run through the town. These signs are private signs for a private event that is being held on private property.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. I appreciate that. So I'm going to go back over to Councillor Jorgensen and see if, and go around one more time, okay? Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. All we have to go by is what we've been given here in terms of the maps, and I'm seeing most of these signs that I can see throughout town have directional arrows on them, as opposed to, just talking about the event. So it's still a little confusing to me, and I mean, the items titled lawn sign, the attachment says lawn sign locations, but we seem to be talking about sandwich board, which is quite different for me. And again, almost all of these signs have directional arrows, and I'm not sure that number of signs throughout town with directional arrows and, speaking of the event, are going to be at all effective. They'll be far too busy as far as I can tell. I mean, like I say, I do understand, you know, going over the highway on Bethune, which is actually Doe Lake Road on that side, and turn left here for the drive-in if you're trying to direct people there for parking. But having a directional sign down at the wharf is what I'm seeing here, for example. I don't know that that's going to be effective, and I think there's the 15, I mean, I do agree with staff that 15 of them throughout town is a lot, especially when I don't see how they'll be effective for promoting the event. I mean, I'd also like to say, I mean, their most recent event, they did a great job of marketing it, obviously, because there was a lot of people there. And as far as I can tell, they didn't have any signs. So from a promotional point of view, I understand, like I say, I do understand that the turn left here stuff. But it's hard that we don't have anything concrete to say, yes, I approve certain directional signs here. I mean, other than staff's recommendation that, you know, they would be in support of a much smaller number, I think, or they would be recommending a much smaller number if council, it was up to council to
Okay.
approve these signs. I mean, I do support the electronic sign, I understand that, on the day of the event, or you know, for directing people. And as I say, I would be okay with a small number of, you know, directional arrow type signs, but I just can't see them all throughout town being effective. So we need, I guess, some more specific, something more specific to agree to, I guess.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I see a number of hands up here, but I'm going to, we heard from Councillor Cairns that she wanted to amend it to allow the 15 or another number. Councillor Morphy said that she would support that. I took that as you would second a motion for that discussion. So let's get this, like, rather than, let's do that and just talk about that number and those, this, I guess, is it amendment or is it an amendment? Okay. So I'm going to put the amendment up and we can just talk about that, okay? And is 15 the number? Okay, so you can put the 15 in there. I'll read it. That line 3 of the main motion be replaced with, and that council permit the use of 15 sandwich boards subject to the restrictions outlined in the staff report. It's moved by Councillor Cairns, second by Councillor Morphy. So I think you've made your point clear. If you wanted to talk further to it, I did have Christina atop of the list, the original list to talk to it. Okay, but that's fine. Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, Worship. Just because I moved the motion, I would like to have the opportunity to speak, but I would rather see, rather than it be saying sandwich board signs, if we're calling them incidental signs in those areas.
That's not what they asked for, so we're not gonna,
So
we're not gonna.
it's too bad that they're not here because
But
the comments that were made in regards to the sandwich board signs, they can be dangerous. They are can be accessibility issues. They can blow over in the wind. There's quite a few things. So unfortunately, he's not here. But I would much rather, maybe not what he asked for, but I think the incidental signs are more appropriate in these other locations. In my opinion, they're easier, they don't blow over, but if it's not what they asked for, but I just, unfortunately, he's not here because maybe he would see or understand a little bit more about the other ones. The Farmers Market put their signs up, they take them down. They're very good because I forgot the market was on Sunday and there was a sign just on Bethune Drive. So that's why I would have like to see those, but whatever.
Well, I mean, process is, we're not going to change what his application is. That's not within our, I don't think that's up to us. I mean, we're responding to a request of a specific item, and I don't feel comfortable changing what we're permitting him to do without their permission, and I don't think that's our role to make this suggestion. So I'm going to go to Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. Manager Ford hit something on the head for me when she said it's a private business, and which is different from the other events that people hold on public property. So I think we need to remember that this is a private business. They do happen to run events, but we have to be consistent, because if another business wants to say, you know, they're doing a blowout sale and we've said yes to these 15 sandwich board signs all over, why can't they do it too? It is a private business. I do think it's excessive. I'm okay with the electronic sign. I'm okay with the sandwich board sign in front of their business, just like any other business is allowed to have. But it is a private business, which is different than a publicly held event. So that was just my final remarks.
Okay, I'm going to go over to Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you just be clear again on, you kept saying directional signs, but when Director Halford said that they're doing their advertising for the event, is that right? Or are they directional signs that the 15 sandwiches boards are there?
Through your worship to the councillor, Manager Ford, step in if I'm misspeaking, but my understanding is that they are informational sandwich board signs that happen to have a directional arrow on them as well, is our understanding, based on the application.
Okay, I'm going to go over to Councillor Jorgensen.
Thank you, Your Worship. Again, could we get we're talking about the amendment, could we get that up again, just so I can be clear on what I thought I saw? So subject to the restrictions outlined in the staff report. Well, the restrictions outlined in the staff report, the first one says the number of signs shall be limited to a reasonable number. So I think we'd have to probably direct staff as to what we consider a reasonable number, because that is one of the restrictions outlined. The other, again, I can't support sandwich board signs without some kind of restriction that they be anchored down or something like that, because I have seen, you know, when the wind comes up, and those sandwich board signs can be a real problem. So I don't think I can support certainly 15 sandwich board signs, again, subject to the restrictions, but because I think we need, if you're going to have sandwich board signs, you need even more restrictions. So I don't think I can support the 15 sandwich board signs.
Okay, I'm going to go back over to Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, the first question is, because this is an event center, it's not a business. I mean, it is a business, but it's not Mike's Shoes, and we're allowing Mike's Shoes to be all over town. It's about a specific event. Mike's Shoes is open 7 days a week. So is there a designation for businesses between an event center and a business, or are they all lumped into one? That's the first question. And the second is, I think they've heard that we don't like incidental signs. So they've come up with this sandwich board, and I can't believe this. It's a classy, well-run operation from what I'm seeing, that they wouldn't secure it with chain and a rock or something. And there's consequences if they're blowing over onto people's cars. I mean, they're going to be subject to existing laws. I just go down the road that we don't have a newspaper. We need to support. It's a part of our strategic plan to encourage business to, be open for business, to have to come to Gravenhurst and to be benigling about, Gravenhurst is huge. By the time you put a few signs up here and there, one at the Wharf, one at the Legion, one at they're not overwhelming in the way they go up, and I think they'll handle the installation of them just fine. Anyway, that was my secondary kind of comments on the topic. Thank you.
Councillor Varney.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I am agreeing with Councillor Jorgensen that I'm not in favor of these sandwich boards. We have a sandwich board at the Arts of the Albion, and it's a heavy board, and it does blow over. So I think 15 sandwich boards in a big stormy day will be the absolute danger. And I can't agree to that. And if we were going to set up a number, I would just say half that number if we were going to amend it to the number. I mean, I agree we need signs, but it's unfortunate that the gentleman left and that we couldn't get him to say, okay, we'll do incidental signs. But anyway, that's my feeling on it. Thank you.
Okay, so before I go back around, I'm just going to say we spend an awful lot of time on signs. Like, we spend more time on signs than anything else that we do here, and that's in my opinion, it's a lot of going around with the same conversation about signs over and over and over again. What's the meaning of insane? Doing the same thing over and over and over and ending up in the same thing. I mean, we put a bylaw in place so that we wouldn't have to deal with these signs. Here we are, meeting after meeting after meeting, deal with these signs because we don't agree with our own bylaw. So I'm going to put it out there again. If there's something in the bylaw that you don't like, let's change the bylaw rather than spending all this time on this issue. You know, I've put it out there 10 times. Let's change the bylaw. If we don't agree with our own bylaw, we're the only ones who can change it. Staff can't change it for us. They bring us their best recommendation based on what we've told them as far as signs go. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to call the question on the amendment because I think we can go around and around and around on this. So I think we've all had an opportunity. We've had 3 and 4 times to speak to it. If somebody who hasn't had a chance to speak to it wishes to speak to it, I'd allow that. But I think. Point of order, Madam Mayor. Yes, point of order's been called. Councillor Strength.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you just confirm, or could the Deputy Clerk confirm that should the amendment be voted down, does that defeat the applicant coming back? Should they decide that, okay, so we said no to 15, can the applicant come back and ask for a different number? What's the protocol as far as there's no limitation on timing? They can come back and say, okay.
The Deputy Clerk and I were just side talking here, and I'll take that one, Your Worship, if that's okay. Yeah, it will be a new application, so they could apply again. It's different than like a regular council discussion or that. This is an application that you're making a recommendation on, or making a decision on. Sorry.
Okay, so like I said, I think everyone has had 2 and 3 and 4 opportunities to speak to this. This is the amendment, so I am going to ask the clerk to put the amendment on the table, on the screen. Okay, so I'm going to call the question. All in favor of the amendment, please vote. And that's defeated. So we're going to go back to the original amendment, the original motion. Okay, so we're just having a bit of a back and forth here. So Deputy Clerk?
Through the Mayor to Council. So right now, we're back to the main motion where there were 3 lines. The second line, I'll just bring it back on the screen here. The second line explicitly permits the use of an electronic mobile sign. The third does not. So right now, it's open-ended in terms of whether it's the sandwich board signs are approved or rejected. It's completely up to council, your will of council, whether to approve or deny it. Council's recommendation is that we amend still line 3 to say if you do not want to have or do not permit the signs, that it's explicitly amended to state that.
Oh, okay, so I still don't understand. I thought that was a pretty clear indication that we didn't support the 15 signs. Okay, so does somebody who voted in favor voted down the amendment want to remove the third line? Because that's essentially what you're doing, right?
We can actually have a motion to say that it's just denied.
Yeah, if you could, please. Okay. So that is moved by Councillor Jorgensen? Well, you voted in the negative, so you don't agree with the 15 signs. This is what this is saying, yeah. Okay. Okay. Somebody want to second it? Councillor Varney? Okay, so it's moved by Councillor Jorgensen, second by Councillor Varney, that line 3 of the main motion be replaced with, and that with the exception of the sandwich board sign permitted on the event property, the request to permit the use of sandwich board signs be denied. Okay? So we can talk to that's up there. Okay? Councillor Cairns?
Thank you, Worship. I just have one comment, and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this or not, but it was brought up by yourself, Your Worship, that, we've come over several times now, and we've had several applicants come in and talk to us about signs, and we've talked more and more about signs, and I definitely agree that the sign bylaw must be changed. And the reason why, it must be very important to the community to have these signs, because we've had so many people coming in and requesting or asking for signs, or they're putting up signs, and it is important to them to be able to have business in their town. Our town needs the signs to be able to let people know where the business is, and I believe that is why we're getting so many people coming. So definitely we need to work on our sign bylaw, and I will be doing that. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, I originally wanted to make a motion really to just strike the third line, but this makes it explicit that we are denying the sandwich board signs. I would just like to speak to, because Councillor Cairns brought it up, I mean, we're not, the sign bylaw permits signs. It permits certain types of signs, and it permits a business to apply for a sign. What we've been dealing with is a lot of exemptions, and really we haven't been dealing with a lot of exemptions. Lately we have, but in terms of the number of signs around town, it's still a small number. And this is the type of, to me, this is an exemption. We have things, we have this, for example, specifically what is asked for in this case was sandwich board signs. The bylaw permits a sandwich board sign out in front of your business. So that is permitted. And I think the consensus around the table was that sandwich board signs spread throughout the town, not in front of your business, is something we didn't want to see. So we still have there's many opportunities for signs. The incidental sign,
Counselor Jorgensen,
So-
I'm going to reel you in a bit here because I think we're going down that rabbit hole of what's the sign bylaw going to look like.
well, this is the thing, and
yeah,
I just
and
want to
I real-
reiterate
yeah, okay.
Your Worship, that if someone brings forward a notice of motion that is specific to make change to the bylaw, then we can consider that at that time. That's all, that's really the message here, that going around the circle and saying we should be changing the sign bylaw, okay, what, where, when, we're not, certainly not, no time do we want to give blanket exemption to any business with respect to the sign bylaw. Like, that the sign bylaw doesn't apply to that business, because I think we've come a long way in improving signage through the sign bylaw, so. But in terms of this amendment, I do support, because I think it makes it clear that we are denying what the request was for the sandwich board signs.
Okay, so Counselor Morphy, is it specific to the amendment on the, okay. Okay, so Counselor Morphy, I just, again, we've batted this around a lot, so I'll just ask, go ahead.
Thank you. No, thank you. This very specific question. These signboards were in regards to overflow parking. How, as the event, are you going to have to drive to the event to find out where to go to the overflow parking rather than having a sign a bit earlier about the overflow? Because I thought that was what the signs were. They were talking about shuttles and.
Okay. Director Halford?
Thank you, Your Worship. The electronic sign is about the overflow parking, which you've approved, just outside the building, just across the street. And my understanding is that the overflow parking, you won't have gone far should you come to the event, because it's just over at the drive-in. So you would have to go that way anyway. So it's actually very great location for the overflow parking. So you would come to the site, see that it's full, you'd continue over the highway and go to the drive-in, and then you'd get a shuttle back. So the sandwich board signs weren't about, my understanding, that wasn't their main intent.
Okay. Do you have your light back on subsequent to that?
Yeah, that was just the question, was if I was coming from town, do I have to go to the event? Now I'm pulling Ue's in front of the event before Highway 11 to go back to the, okay.
Okay, Counselor Varney, I'm going to let you have one more crack at this. Okay.
I was going to say thank you, Your Honor, but, okay. So I'm just wondering, because we're turning that down, are we going to suggest to him that he could have fewer number signs, or that he could use incidental signs, which would be much easier to put up around the town than sandwich boards? Is that something that we would pass on to him for information, or are we just saying carte blanche? No, you can't have 15. I mean, I'm hoping that we can give him something back, some information back to him. That's all I'm asking.
So I'm sure he's been watching with, but no, I mean, I imagine staff will tell him what he's been allowed and where the conversation went. I mean, I don't want to put words in staff's mouths, but again, he probably could have watched this, and I think that he'll be provided feedback. You're nodding a bit? Yes, perfect.
Yes, absolutely, Your Worship. Will advise him and/or whoever made the actual application of the details. Just wanted to clarify, though, that incidental signs are not permitted on our road allowances, right? So they're subject to still the bylaw. A summary of that is that you're allowed one on private property, right? So if that's a direction that they wish to pursue, on private property, then that might be an additional way to address it. But the sandwich board is what they have applied for. Mhm.
Okay, so I think I'm going to call the question on the latest, if we could have that on the screen, please, so we all understand exactly what it is. Not with the exception of the sandwich board sign permitted on the event property, the request to permit the use of sandwiches board be denied. Councillor Murphy, you had you just turned your light on? Yep.
Yeah, please, if I vote, like, I'm against one part and I'm for one part.
Yeah, so this is just the denial part, right? This is just for that specific line.
Okay, thank you.
So you would probably, I'm going to vote in the affirmative on that. Be denied.
If you want to approve the denial on the major motion, yes.
So, okay, so we're, okay.
All good?
Okay, that carries, the denial carries, so I guess the amendment carries, perfect. Now we have one more vote on this.
Let me just bring up the amended motion, just so we're clear.
Yeah, just so we're clear.
Going through the motions, this must be where this statement comes from.
Oh. Okay, so it's moved by Counselor Johnston, second by Counselor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that report number DEV 2025-61, RE Hale sign exemption be received for information, that an electronic mobile sign be permitted subject to the approval of the District of Muskoka and the restrictions outlined in the staff report, and that the exception of the sandwich board sign permitted, with the exception of the sandwich board sign permitted on the event property, the request to permit the use of sandwich boards be denied. So I feel that we've discussed this long enough, so we're going to call the vote on the motion. Okay. Great, that carries, thank you. I'm going to, I realize we just have to go into bylaws, but I'm going to take a, oh, we have shore road closures. Well, I'm still going to take a break. So I'm going to ask that we take a break for, can't see that, 4:36. If we could be back here at 4:45, that'd be great. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. Thank you. New business, Shore Road closure. Be resolved that report number DEV 2025-62, Shore Road closure 03-2025 for Sorokin and Hollinger, Severn River, be received for information, and that council hereby declare the following lands as surplus. Part of original Shore Road closure, OSRA, in front of part of Lot I, Concession 8, Parts 2 and 4 on Plan 35R 10596 in the former Township of Wood, now in the Town of Gravenhurst District, Municipality of Muskoka, municipally known as 1072 Flanagan Trail. Any questions or comments? Please vote. Sorry, that carries. Thank you. Shore Road closure 04-2025, Dumaresque, Kashi Lake, report number DEV 2025-63. Be it resolved that report number DEV 2025-63, Shore Road closure 04-2025 for Dumaresque, Kashi Lake be received for information, and that council hereby declare the following lands as surplus. Part of the original Shore Road allowance, OSRA, in front of Concession 8, Part 8, 12, and 13, Plan M93, Lot 14, in the former Township of Morrison, now in the Town of Gravenhurst, District Municipality of Muskoka, municipally known as 1024 Oak Road, Kashi Lake. Any questions or comments on that? Okay, please vote. That carried. Thank you. Okay, thank you. And now we will go through bylaws. It is moved by Councillor Karen, second by Councillor Hunter. Be it resolved that the following bylaws be read, passed, and engrossed into the bylaw book. Bylaw number 2025-63 zoning, Homewood and Foyce, Lake Muskoka. Bylaw number 2025 zoning north-south holdings, 2024 Inc., Highway 11 North. Bylaw number 2025-65 zoning, Ferguson, Kilworthy Road. Bylaw number 2025 OPA for Posland, Lake Muskoka, and bylaw number 2025-67 zoning, Posland, Lake Muskoka. Anybody want to pull any of these for discussion? Councillor Morphy?
Number 4, please. Powsland.
Okay, so I'm going to ask that we vote on the rest then, council. Oh, okay, that carried. Sorry, I missed it. Okay, so Councillor Morphy, you wanted to talk to Posland?
I'm sorry about that. Through you, Your Worship. I just want clarification. If you look at the map on page 35, the outhouse is past the 30-meter setback line, up a steep cliff, and, I mean, I think they have one of those funny stairways that get you up there. In the middle of the night, somebody's sleeping out in a boathouse, and they've got a over 200-foot run there and back. I just don't see environmentally how that's going to happen, and I would like to look at bathroom facilities. I'm not opposed to the boathouse. I think, like, they're within meters of not even being here. But I think it should have, look after the bathroom needs. I don't know if any of other councilors feel along this line. If not, I'll drop it, but I don't see running 100 feet to an outhouse, something I would do in the middle of the dark, uphill at night. I know where you're going to go.
Counselor Jorgensen?
Thank you, Your Worship. I think staff did deal with that from the standpoint that at building permit stage, that's when you look at these requirements. I don't think it has to be shown on the application that we're looking for. It's a given. And an outhouse is a perfectly good sewage treatment mechanism, and whether you want to walk 100 meters or not, that's up to you. You could take a flashlight, but I mean, I've been lots of places where I grew up going to a cottage where the outhouse was a long way away to be, because you don't want it right beside the house. But in either case, I think staff dealt with this, that will be reviewed at building permit stage.
Okay, Counselor, does anybody else, before I go back to Counselor Morphy? Okay, Counselor Morphy?
Thank you, through you. Just then, when the building, he said no objection. So there is a chance that this can be looked at, even though he had no objection to this, on this report? The chief building inspector.
Okay, so I am going to ask the director to answer the question, although generally we don't bring staff into this stage because it's our time to talk. But Director, did you have a response for that?
Yes, Your Worship. Through you to the councillor, the application that's before you is to permit a two-story boathouse. There's no description about whether there is or isn't a bathroom in it at this stage of the game. If, when the building permit comes forward, there is a bathroom, then it would be dealt with and made sure that it's dealt with appropriately. Otherwise, the building official always looks at whether what is proposed is serviced as appropriately. And if they're not proposing a bathroom, then that's okay too. Like, there's no requirement for a bathroom in a sleeping cabin.
Counselor Jorgensen?
Yes, I'd just like to reiterate that I'm looking at the provisions for a two-story boathouse. It may or may not contain a sleeping cabin, and it may or may not contain a washroom or facilities, basically. Sorry, I'll get the exact wording here. So the structure may include a washroom. The structure shall not include kitchen facilities. So the bylaw is very specific. A washroom can be included. You may or may not have a sleeping cabin up there. And I think that's clear. It's already permitted. It depends on what they come forward with at building permit stage. Whether when they submit their plans for approval, whether it has a washroom, that will determine what the septic requirements would be.
And just to follow on that, as Your Worship allowed me to speak, should the number of bedrooms proposed, then as per the building code, require a septic system to be, or the septic to be addressed, the building official will look at that. So it all depends on what they apply for at the time of their building permit application. We can't presuppose what is going to be in that application at this time. The matter that what you had pulled for discussion was actually the OPA. So really, the OPA would just, our official plan does not permit two-story boathouses in a narrow waterway. Therefore, that's what you've pulled to discuss, it relates to. And then the zoning bylaw relates to the details. So, which is which you've already approved, actually. So the building permit review process will determine the appropriate septic requirements.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so I'll call the question. And that carries, thank you. Is moved by Counselor Johnson, second by Counselor Jorgensen. Be it resolved that the minutes of the council meeting dated July 22nd, 2025 be approved as circulated. All in favor? That carries. Thank you. It is moved by Counselor Morphy, second by Counselor Robinson. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2025-68 to confirm the council meeting held on August 26, 2025 be passed. All in favor, please vote. And I need a motion to adjourn. Counselor Johnston and Counselor Strength, please vote. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks to our guests who did a great job. So thanks very much for your support. We appreciate you.